Hello and welcome to yet another IMR model review. Short spoiler, it's not the final IMR review. And today we will talk about Opus Melius, the final model in the Opus series as it was announced by the IMR. Actually, this Opus series consists of one another model, Opus Mia. And Opus Mia was built on top of the IMR Halcyon. All models were pretty successful, or actually probably all IMR models are pretty successful because IMR is a boutique manufacturer, they have limited runs, and actually Opus Melius was built only 99 earpieces. And all their models are usually sold out, and this one is not an exception. Probably by the time when this video will be released, the model will be already sold out. But sometimes they are available on the second-hand market, and in general it sometimes helps to foresee how new IMR models sound, so I think this review is still worth creating. And anyway, I like IMR models, I like to talk about them. Opus Melius is hybrid in earphones with 10mm, if I remember right, ADLC dynamic driver and dual electrostatic drivers per each ear. So interesting combination of sound, promising big bass and warmer mids and extended clean and clear treble and upper mids. So is it so? We'll see in this review. And price is £600. As usual, there were some discount codes for those who already ordered something from IMR, so it's always a chance to get something at a lower price. And let's have a closer look. As usual, earphones came in this nylon case with really convenient handle. I'm a fan of this package, but as a bonus IMR added a small case to carry earphones with you, because carrying this big case is not convenient and doesn't always make sense. Inside there is a manual, it's traditional with filter description, combinations and so on. And accessory set is also traditional, so 3 pair of single flange silicone tips, 2 pair of foams, double flange tips, earpieces themselves, 6.3mm adapter, 2 set, not 2 set of course, actually 6 set of bass filters and 8 set of bass filters and 6 set of upper mids and treble, so 48 filter combination as usual, and big set of stock cables. So I've got all 3 options actually. So Pentagon one, 3.5mm one, and this one is 2.5mm, each with this leather stripe for organizing, and also I got a short clip and 2 set of spare faceplates. So it's just a matter of design, they don't change anything, but you can select the one you prefer. And here is the Pentagon one, we'll use it for the demonstration purposes. And earpieces themselves, protected by these rubber inserts. So let me pull them out and we'll talk about them. So here they are, new design of shells. Some people were complaining over previous designs, but I liked the Opus Mia design. But new one will definitely fit more ears. As usual, it's solid metal, nice almost black color this time, looks really great, this combination of blue and black. You can replace it with gold or red, but for me blue on black looks the best, but you can replace it if you'd like. But be careful, once you unscrew these parts, shells will open, because the screw also holds shells. So if you'll decide to swap faceplates, do it on some white background and with in a good lighting conditions. Here they are, comfortable with slightly above average sound isolation, so everything is built well here. You can unscrew these filters. Bottom part is responsible for the low frequencies and upper part responsible for the mids and treble. So you can select many options. As usual, screws are done greatly. There are rubber rings for better fit. This part works as a lip for holding the tips. There is a protective grill, so all these parts are done nicely. And as usual, level of craftsmanship is great. Cable is made replaceable. New version of cable used here with angled plastic connectors, improving fit a little bit. So 2 pins, you can use any 2-pin cable with appropriate pin diameter. Just ensure that they don't have recessed pins. Fitting nicely, holding well, so in this aspect cable is working well. And here is the second one. Also fits nicely. Cable is comfortable, it's not super fancy in terms of design, but it does its job well, it feels nice, and it's a bit softer than average, and it's comfortable for everyday usage. Bit longer than traditional cable, so it does its job pretty nicely. And to summarize this part, really good design, presentation, accessory set, and whole other stuff. And of course about the sound, as usual for IMR reviews, I need to say a few words before proceeding to the sound. If you've seen previous IMR reviews, you can get an idea of what I'm going to say now. You can skip a minute or even a minute and a half. Anyway, this model requires a burn-in, and this time actually a pretty extended burn-in. I burned them in for 200 hours. But sound settled after 140 hours or so. I know there are a lot of skeptics about the burn-in, but IMR earphones definitely need that, so they change sound noticeably a few times during the burn-in process, so just do that and before critical listening and before finding the proper tips combination. And that's it. I agree that burn-in rarely impact earphones, but there are a few exceptions. Of course, also you'll need to find the proper tips. Some people do cable rolling, but I will use stock cable for the review. And another important part is to find the tips and filters combinations that will suit your tastes. I encourage you to try different options, not try to find like best one by polling people on the forums or somewhere else. Just find the ones that suit your tastes most of all. And usually I use black tip and red bottom with many IMR models, but here I decided to go black and blue, a different combination, and I didn't see anyone mentioning that, but I like this option most of all, so I encourage you to do some experiments, and it's really likely that you'll find the combination that will suit your tastes more than recommended ones. There are 48 options, but of course you don't have to try them all, so you'll find the necessary amount of low frequencies and then just select the proper mids and treble. It will take less effort. Let's have a player on the table and let's talk about the sound. So, basic idea of Opus Mia is still here. This model has a big bass, but at the same time it's less weighty than Opus Mia 1, and it's faster and it's better controlled, so probably this ADLC dynamic driver does a trick. It's faster, it's tighter, it has better dynamics, it's more natural and more resolving. So if you like big bass in terms of weight, probably Opus Mia could be a better option for you. But if you like big bass that is tight and impactful, it's a nice option and it's a really good upgrade. And of course bass is pretty deep, it goes to close to maximum depth, and you know, even with black filters, it doesn't overpower you. For me, of course, black filters are a bit on the bassy side of things, but thanks to the impactfulness and tightness here, I like this big bass combination, and I like that low frequencies are controlled well and stays in place. It's totally universal, it plays nicely with electronic music, giving all that rumble and kicks, and it also plays nicely with acoustic instruments, giving all that small nuances and overtones, and almost not exaggerating their size, like many bassy models does. It controls well and stays nicely in place, so bass here is pretty pleasant. It's not a bass head tuning, but it's a bass lovers model definitely. And I like this change comparing with Opus Mia. And as an example, here is Pain of Salvation acoustic album and track Holy Diver, nice cover version of cult classics. And in this album they have a pretty nice, well-defined low frequencies and also pretty well-recorded bass, and this model delivers it nicely with good sense of body, and it's really pleasant. Mids have a nice resolution, and actually it's a surprisingly good resolution for the dynamic driver. Maybe it's not on level of fast balanced armatures and some planars, but resolution is nice, but lower part have a bit of additional weight, probably as usual, but it sounds really good. Vocals have nice body and sound velvety and pleasant. And on the upper mids, where electrostatic drivers start playing their role, you'll get really good resolution, great amount of details, proper balance, and at the same time nice and comfortable sounding. And when it's necessary, they can represent female vocals, aggressive guitars, and all other stuff. Imaginary stage is slightly, not slightly, above average, so somewhere in between of average and maximum. So not hugely above average, but not slightly, so somewhere in between. If 1 is smallest, 10 is biggest, so it's somewhere at 7 or even 8. They are a bit critical for the quality of records, but mainly because of the treble. So you'll need something with a good treble to show their full potential, because treble, kind of spoiler, is strong part of this model. So select something properly recorded, of course. And as a test for the mid frequencies, Diablo Swing Orchestra, Justice for Saint Mary, and actually this is one track to test almost everything. So many stuff is happening during this track, so lot of instruments, orchestra, vocal, and even kind of dubstep bass drop at the end, so a lot of stuff is going, and this model plays it nicely and in an engaging way. And treble is a strong part here, and actually it's kind of a return of IMR to their first models, because treble here is present, and if you're sensitive to the treble, probably it could be not the best option for you. Of course, some filters can tame treble here, but I think that it's the model that most of all suit the taste of those who like when treble is present. It definitely has above average extension, and it's really rich, layered, crisp, clean, with proper attacks and decays, so sounding really realistic and giving all that small nuances, overtones, and all other stuff, representing it nicely and in a pleasant way. And actually that's also, it's a really good treble, but not for treble sensitive persons, but you can reduce it, but I definitely not recommend doing that. And as an example for the treble, it's Leila Martial Talk, and great female vocal, nicely recorded with a lot of small nuances and overtones, and it's a hard load for the earphones, but Opus Melius renders this treble in a nice and impressive way. Speaking about the pairings, they definitely require something above, from the average, from the middle segment and above, so their treble will definitely benefit from something like FIO M11 Pro and higher models, and DX300 is another great pairing. Speaking about the comparisons, actually, you know, it's really hard to compare them with anything except Kinera Nana. I've seen that they released new version of Nana, and actually I didn't test them, but previous version of Nana has similar treble, but here it's a bit more present, and Nana has a bit, actually not a bit, but less bass, so they have less low frequencies. This one is more basic, giving nice contrast for that treble. And of course another is Shozi Pola 39, basically a bit more forward mids and a bit more extended treble for the Pola 39, but less deeper bass and a bit less resolution on the treble. And comparing with Opus Mia, Opus Mia is more more weight on the mids and lows, so bass is bigger, but it's a bit more bloated and more omnipresent. Here low frequencies are tighter and more refined, and also treble has a bit better extension here. On the mids, probably Opus Mia is a slightly more detailed, but that difference is not really big, at least for me, because I really enjoy the change in bass here. And actually, I don't think there is much sense in comparing with other models, because balanced armatures that is common are really different from the electrostatic tweeters, so to compare it, to get comparable sound, you'll need something with electrostatic tweeters. So IMR selected interesting concept and delivered this sound in a nice and engaging way. So thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.